The Twin Engines by the Reverend W. Awdry. Read and adapted by Joshua Boston. Hello, twins! More and more people traveled on Sir Topham Hatt's railway. More and more ships came to the harbors. Everyone had to work very hard indeed. The freight cars complained bitterly. But then again, cars always do, and no one takes much notice. The coaches complained too. No sooner had they arrived with one train than they had to go out again with fresh new passengers as another. "We don't know whether we're coming or going," they protested. "We feel quite distracted." "No one can say," grumbled Henry, "that we are afraid of hard work. But we draw the line at goods trains," finished Gordon. "Dirty cars and dirty sidings," put in James. "Yuck!" "What are you boiler-aching about?" asked Duck. "I remember back on the Great Western—" "That tin-pot railway," grunted Gordon. Duck was most indignant. "Tin-pot indeed! Let me tell you—" "Silence!" ordered a well-known voice. It was Sir Topham Hatt. "Let me tell you that an engine for goods work will arrive from Scotland tomorrow." The announcement was met with acclamation. But the next morning, Sir Topham Hatt stared at the inspector. He was having a little bit of trouble trying to understand what he was saying. "Did you say 2 engines, Inspector?" he asked. "Yes, sir." "Then send the other one back at once." "Certainly, sir." "But which?" Sir Topham Hatt stared at him again. "Engines have numbers, Inspector," he explained patiently. "We bought number 57646. So send the other one back." "Quite so, sir. But I'm afraid to say there is a difficulty." "What do you mean?" "The 2 engines are exactly alike, sir, and they have no numbers. They say that they lost them on the way." "Indeed," said Sir Topham Hatt as he seized his hat. "We'll soon settle that nonsense." When Sir Topham Hatt arrived in the yard, the 2 twin engines greeted him cheerfully. "I hear you 2 lost your numbers," he said. "How did that happen?" "We may have slightly slipped them off, sir. We can't know what it is." The 2 engines spoke in chorus. "I know," said Sir Topham Hatt. "You lost them accidentally on purpose." The twins looked pained. "Sir, you wouldn't be thinking that we lost them on purpose." "I'm not so sure," replied Sir Topham Hatt. "Now then, which one of you is 57646? "That, sir, is just what we cannot mind." Sir Topham Hatt looked at their solemn faces. He then turned away. He seemed to be having difficulty of his own. He swung round again. "What are your names?" he asked. "Dunny and Doogie, sir." "Good," he said. "Then your controller can tell me which of you is which." "Aye, you won't be getting any muckle help from him, sir." "Why?" "He never gave us names, sir. How could he? We only given ourselves names when we lost our numbers." "One of you," said Sir Topham Hatt, "is playing truant. I shall find him out and send him home. Inspector," he ordered, "give these engines numbers and set them to work." Then he turned and walked sternly away. The Missing Coach. Soon workmen arrived to give the 2 engines numbers. Donald was 9 and Douglas 10. When the men went away, they were left alone in the shed. "You may have noticed, Dougie," said Donald, "that young painters forgot something." "What did they forget?" "They painted brand new numbers on our tenders, but they put none on us." Donald winked broadly at his twin. "Do you mean," grinned Douglas, "that we can—" "Just that," chuckled Donald. "Oh, hold your wish. Here's the inspector." "Now, 9 and 10, smiled the inspector. "This here is Duck. He will show you around before you start work." The twins thoroughly enjoyed themselves. They were soon friends with Duck. They didn't mind what they did. They tackled coaches and goods trains easily. For once the twins had shunted them, the freight cars knew better than to try any tricks. "We like it fine here," said Donald. That's good, smiled Duck. But take my tip. Watch out for Gordon, James, and Henry. They're sure to try some nonsense. "I do not fuss yourself," chuckled Douglas. "We will soon settle them." Donald and Douglas had deep-toned whistles. The bigger engines thought that very funny. "They sound like buses," said Gordon. "Or ships," sniggered Henry. "Talk about Annie," laughed James. "Ha ha ha ha!" Donald and Douglas were very cross. They cruised quietly up to them, one on each side. "You wouldn't be making fun of us, would you now?" asked Donald. The three engines jumped. They glanced nervously from side to side. No, said Gordon. No, certainly not, said Henry. "That's fine," said Douglas. "Now just mind the three of you and keep it that way." That was the way Gordon, James, and Henry kept it. Every day, punctually at 3:30, Gordon steams in with the express. It is called the Wild Nor'Wester, and it is full of people from England, Wales, and Scotland. There is also a special coach for passengers traveling to places on Thomas's branch line. When the other coaches are taken away empty, engines need to remember to shunt the special coach to the bay platform. It doesn't wait there long. Thomas, with Annie and Clarabelle, comes hurrying from the junction to fetch it. Thomas is very proud of this special coach. One afternoon, Douglas helped Duck in the yard, while Donald waited to take a special goods train to the other end of the line. As Duck was busy arranging Donald's freight cars, Douglas offered to take away Gordon's coaches. Douglas was enjoying himself, but suddenly an awful thought struck him. "I hope Sir Topham Hatt doesn't find out I shouldn't have been here. I couldn't abide going back." He worried so much about this that he forgot all about Thomas's special coach. He pushed it with the others into the carriage siding, then ambled along to join Donald at the water column. As he went, Thomas scampered by, whistling cheerfully. Soon Thomas returned, fussing dreadfully. "Where's my coach?" he demanded. "Coach?" asked Donald. "What coach?" "My special coach that Gordon brings for me. It's gone missing. I must find it." Thomas bustled crossly away. "Lost sakes!" exclaimed Douglas. "I must have stowed the special coach away with the others." "You say that?" exclaimed Donald's driver. An angry mob of passengers erupted from the siding. "They're complaining to Sir Topham Hatt. He'll be coming here next." "Now listen," said Douglas's driver. "We'll change tenders, then away with you, Donald, and take your goods. Do not fuss about us. Quick now, do as I say." Sir Topham Hatt and 3 passengers walked towards them. But Donald, with Douglas's tender, number 10, was out and away with his goods before they came near. Douglas and his driver waited with innocent expressions. "Ah," said Sir Topham Hatt, "number 9. And why have you not taken the goods?" "My tenders are all, sir." The driver showed him the tender still uncoupled. "I see," said Sir Topham Hatt. "Some defect, no doubt. Tell me, why did number 10 leave so quickly?" "Maybe, sir," said Douglas. "He saw you coming and thought he was late." "Huh," said Sir Topham Hatt. He then turned to the passengers. "Here, gentlemen, are the facts. Number 10 has been shunting in the yard. Your coach disappeared. We investigate, and number 10 disappears as well. You can draw your own conclusions. Please accept my apologies. The matter will be investigated. Good afternoon, gentlemen." Sir Topham Hatt watched them as they climbed up the station ramp. His shoulders twitched. He rubbed his eyes. Douglas wondered if he was crying. He wasn't. Suddenly, he swung round. "Douglas!" he rapped. "Why are you masquerading with Donald's tender?" Brake van. When Thomas's special coach had been retrieved, Sir Topham Hatt ordered Donald and Douglas to swap their tenders back. He then scolded both engines severely. "There must be no more tricks," he said. I shall be watching you both. I have to decide which one of you is to stay." He clambered into the coach, slammed the door behind him, and Thomas puffed furiously away with it. The twins were glum. Neither wanted to stay without the other. They said so. "Then what's to do?" wondered Douglas. "Ah," said Donald, "each one be as good as the other. Then they'll have to keep us both." Their plan was good, but they had reckoned without a spiteful brake van. The van had taken a strong dislike to Douglas. Things always went wrong whenever he had to take it out. Then his trains were late, and he was blamed. Douglas began to worry. Donald, his twin, was angry. "You're a muckle nuisance," said Donald one day. "It's to leave you behind I'd be wanting." "You can't," said the van. "I'm essential." "Oh, out of here," Donald burst out. "You're nothing but a screeching and a noise when all is said and done. Spike Dougie would go, 'Take that!'" "Ow! Oh!" cried the van. "Hold your wish," said Donald severely. "There is more coming should you misbehave." The van behaved better after that. Douglas's trains were punctual, and the twins felt happier. Then, one day, Donald had an accident. He backed into a siding, but the rails were slippery. He couldn't stop in time, and he crashed through the buffers and into a signal box. One moment, the signalman was standing on the stairs, and the next, he was sitting on the coal in Donald's tender. Donald wasn't hurt, but the signalman was most annoyed. "You clumsy great engine!" he stormed. "Now you must stay there. You've jammed my points. It serves you right for spoiling my nice new signal box." Sir Topham Hatt was cross too. "I am disappointed, Donald," he said. "I did not expect such clumsiness from you. I had decided to send Douglas back and keep you." "Steady, sir," said Donald. But he didn't say what he was sorry for. We know, don't we? "I should think so, too," continued Sir Topham Hatt indignantly. "You have upset my arrangements. This is most inconvenient. Now James will have to help with the goods work while you have your tender mended. James won't like that." Sir Topham Hatt was right. James grumbled dreadfully about extra work. "Anyone would think," said Douglas, "that Donald had his accident on purpose." "I hear tell about an engine and some tire wagons." Gordon and Henry chuckled. "Shut up," said James. "It's not funny." He didn't like being reminded about his own accident. Well, said Douglas innocently. "Surely, James, it wasn't ya didn't say." James didn't say. He slouched sulkily away. He was still sulky the next morning, and he wouldn't steam properly. When at last he did start, he bumped the freight cars hard. "James is cross," snickered the spiteful brake van. "We'll try and make him crosser still. Hold back," he whispered to the cars. "Hold back," giggled the cars to each other. James did his best, but he was exhausted when they reached Edward's station. Luckily, Douglas was there. "Help me up the hill, please," panted James. "These freight cars are playing tricks." "We'll show 'em," said Douglas grimly. Come on, puffed James crossly. Get more than you, puffed Douglas from behind. Slowly but surely, the snorting engines forced the unwilling freight cars up the hill. But James was losing steam. I can't do it, he panted. Leave it to me, shouted Douglas. He pushed and he puffed so furiously that sparks leapt from his funnel. Ow! Cried the van. I wish I never thought of this. He was squeezed between Douglas and the freight cars. Go on, he screamed. But the cars took no notice. The conductor was anxious. Go steady! The van's breaking! But it was too late. The van collapsed into pieces, and the conductor had jumped clear and landed safely on the side of the line just in time. No one had been hurt, and soon Edward was sent to clean up the mess. Sir Topham Hatt was on board. "I might have known it would be Douglas," he said. "I'm sorry, sir," said Douglas. "Maybe I was clumsy, but I wouldn't have been beaten by a young tricksy van." "I see," said Sir Topham Hatt. "Douglas was grand, sir," said Edward. "James had no steam left, but Douglas worked hard enough for 3. I heard him from my yard." "2 would have been enough," said Sir Topham Hatt dryly. "I want to be fair, Douglas. I admire your determination, but I don't know. I really don't know." He turned and walked thoughtfully away. The deputation. "He'll send us a water for sure, Donald." "I'm thinking it right there, Dougie. The luck's been against us. Our engine cannot know what to do for the best." Snow came early that year to the island of Sodor. It was heavier than usual. It stuck, too, and choked the lines. Most engines hate snow, but Donald and Douglas were used to it. They knew what to do. Their drivers spoke to the inspector, and they were soon coupled back to back with the van between their tenders. Then, each with a snowplow on their fronts, they set to work. They puffed busily backwards and forwards, patrolling the lines. Generally, the snow came up easily, but sometimes they came across drifts that were larger. Then they would charge again and again till they had forced their way through. Presently, they came to a drift which was heavier than most. They charged it, and were just backing up for another try, when they heard a feeble whistle. People were waving and shouting. Douglas puffed up closer. He could see a green engine stuck inside a large snowdrift along with 4 coaches. "Lord sakes, Donald, it's Henry! Do not fuss yourself, Henry, by the way. We'll have you out." And sure enough, they did. But that evening, the mood was different. Sir Topham Hatt was returning soon. The twins felt glum. "He'll send us back for sure," they mourned. "It's a shame," sympathized Percy. "A lot of nonsense about a signal box," huffed Gordon. "Too many of those, if you ask me." "That spiteful brake van, too," put in James. "Good riddance, that's what I say." "They were splendid in the snow," added Henry. "It isn't fair." All the engines agreed that something had to be done, but none knew what. One day, Percy decided to talk to Edward about it. "What you need," said Edward, "is a deputation." He explained what that was, and Percy ran back quickly to tell the other engines. "Edward says we need a depot station," he said. "Of course!" cried Gordon. "But the only question is, what is a depuration?" asked Henry. "It's when engines tell Sir Topham Hatt that something's wrong and ask him to put it right." "Did you say tell Sir Topham Hatt?" asked Doc thoughtfully. There was a long silence. "I propose," said Gordon at last, "that Percy be our, disputation." "What?" squeaked Percy. "I can't." "Rubbish, Percy," said Henry. "It's easy." "That's settled then," said Gordon. Poor Percy wished it wasn't. "Hello, Percy. It's nice to be back," said a voice to the small engine a few minutes later. Percy jumped. Some freight cars went flying into a siding. It was Sir Topham Hatt. "Oh, yes, sir, please, sir," stammered Percy. "You look nervous, Percy. What's the matter?" Please, sir, they've made me a desperation, sir, to speak with you, sir. I don't like it, sir." Sir Topham Hatt pondered. "Do you mean a deputation, Percy?" he asked. Yes, sir, please, sir. It's Niall and Douglas, sir. They say, there, sir, that if you send them away, sir, that would turn to describe, sir, that would be dreadful, sir. But please don't send them away, sir. Please, sir. They're nice engines, sir. Thank you, Percy. That will do. The next morning, Sir Topham Hatt spoke to the engines. I had a deputation yesterday, he said. I understand your feelings, but I do not approve of interference. He paused impressively. Donald and Douglas, I hear your work in the snow was good. As a reward, you will both have a new coat of paint, but your names will be painted on you. We will have no more mistakes. The twins were surprised. Thank you, sir. Does this mean that the both of us... Sir Topham Hatt smiled. It means, he began, but the rest of his speech was drowned in a delightful chorus of cheers and whistles, for the twins were here to stay.